TANTRALOKA, Chapter 2. I am beginning the second topic to make decision about anuttara, which is a constant first seat in the form of knowledge. Instruction has no place and purpose in the state of Anavopaya. Once an instruction is delivered, the same is called Anavopaya later. Now is the principle named Anavopaya possible without means. Some aspirants attain this naturally. So what we have to say about? We must consider the four forms of science as the nature of the omnipresent, Parameshvara, for that omnipresent is relentlessly emergent. That which self as a science is manifested in the forms of numerous nature, some involves partially and some integrally in that. Therefore, to enter is light either through means or through any other way, yoga is possible. Hence, with or without any means, there exists a sense of diversified surprise. It is impossible to come out of this surprise of amazement. They are graceful who have attained it through Anavopaya, the Bhairava Atma Samvit, by dint of the pure stainless nature minds. Here I am going to describe the way of that level of aspirants having Anavopaya. Kriya Yoga cannot be the means for that Samvid Avesha, whereas that Kriya Yoga arises out of this Avesha and can be felt. Only the means are capable of Jnapti statement. Hence, the knowledge is light. Since he is self-luminous, so there is no need for other means, as he reflects through even unconsciousness. The Samvit principle is a self-luminous, no argument offered for this truth. In this absence of self-luminosity of that Samvit due to unconsciousness, the entire world will fall into darkness. All the means, external and internal, are dependent to that. Therefore, how can that Samvit be part of means? Give up attention. Where are you paying attention? Contemplate on that with yourself. This is not well to make attention about the absolute, and fragment never attains integrity, the sense of truth. Therefore, how can the mental viewing of practice of contemplating by the help of intention be the means on the path of doing absolute Bhairava? They who want to attain the Bhairava form by direct means are certainly inert, for they wish for in order to attain the sign. And the matter emerging through outer and internal means is the light form body of Shiva himself. Blue, yellow, pleasure, all these are the same light form Shiva. This is only light soul, which can be the means to be minute relation about that light form non-dual absolute. The light form Parameshvara even reflects in this intellectual soul. This is dual and this is non-dual. On this is pleasure and pain, bondage and emancipation, inert and consciousness, other words having some meaning like the synonyms of roads, pitcher and waterpot. How can the part of non-light be reflected in the light? If that light reflects, its duality will vanish. And if that is not light, how will that be called light? Hence, does its lightness not prove? Therefore, this is one single light, which is a certainty of fact, but different scholars satisfy themselves by maintaining distance. But the negation of darkness or non-light, it is called light. No word is numerical which can differentiate Chit Vyakti. This Maheshwara is not Mahadevi Shakti because this is not dependent on Adi. This Mahadeva is not Shaktimana too because this is not a reside of Shakti. This is not to be contemplated too because no contemplator exists. He is not even a contemplator because no to be contemplated exists other than him. Hence he is not to be worshipped as a worshipper is absent, and he is not the worshipper as to be worshipped is not. Neither he is sacred syllable mantra, neither the object of mantra, and nor the Lord of mantra chanting. That Maheshwara is neither initiation nor initiator, nor the action of initiation. In this Parameshwara who is devoid of doer, action and fruit, nothing exists including even place, seat, abnegation, value, stage, evocation and sublimation. He is devoid of neither truth nor untruth, no truth, no truth, and no truth. The state is knowable, almost difficultly knowable. This Anuttara is amazing, which seems to me is limited as well. That is used as claypot in the social relationship. This is trust, or Bhairava is not like that. To be untruth or untruthful means to be darkness or lightless, and this is used nowhere. Trust is the life of the world, and the truth is nothing but the form of light only. Only for this two reasons he is neither of two form nor is devoid of two form. He, Parameshwara, is reflecting through all forms, and through form we can understand him. He is regarded as a nature of knowledge in the Trishula Bhairava. In this, his Paramapada Shakti Garbha, for the Shakti power, resides in the womb of him. He, that principle, is neither existence nor non-existence, nor both, for that is not the subject of speech. Rested on Anuttarapada, which is unutterable, that is devoid of power through resides in power. Hence, they are not controlled by means who have become pure by dint of samvit and through the purity, settled on the way to Anuttara. They realize the aura of existence completely before them and the reflection of Bhairava Agni in the form of samvit. For them, the existence of fear, of the fraction, of pleasure and pain remains as doubtless complete absorption. They are never deluded by sacred symbols, meditation, worship, imagination, ritual practice, and following rules. Nothing remains as to do for him in less doings except the compassion towards people like an axe frees a person from all bondage of sufferings. This world does a fraud by assuming this is my duty, but it never does any work for others. But he who is full of Bhairavi Bhava, feeling an existence of power, after destroying all the worldly impurities, does his duties only for the sake of the happiness of people. The aspirants having pure samvit will look at him as his, they too become transformed like him, and the grace remains as it is. The knowledge of this principle is a ceremony from sacrifice, yaga to initiation, as it says by the Lord Parameshwara in Siddha Yogeshwari Tantra. Tura, kind of musical instrument, is greater than Standila. Pata is greater than Tura. Contemplation jnana is greater than Pata. Thing to be contemplated is greater than contemplation. Firmness, holding, dharana, is greater than the thing contemplated. To be in yoga is greater than firmness, and the knowledge is greater than to be in yoga. But dint of knowledge, great self-proved aspirants as such turn into Yogeshwara. If even he, Yogeshwara, wants to reflect grace over the aspirant having impure samvit out of his freedom, he must follow the right process for his disciple aspirant. That process is called by so many names as para, apara, samkirna, according to the level of disciple. It's a process of being mumukshu. Doubtless, and the knower of trust must be respectable too, never disobeys the scripture. This is the direction of Parameshvara. A doubtless teacher like mumukshu does not need any means so that he can avoid his freedom, svatantra. He does busy with himself. He does it for others because no other means is available for any impure Savi disciple except the grace of teacher. Actually, grace is devoid of means. This is said in Siddha Srimad Durkibha Shastra and by Samananda and other teachers. Bow down and touch the feel of Lord Parameshvara, who is the light sharp, bright sun, dispels the darkness of sky, which is the heart, who appears in the sky of heart, whence the cloud of doubts are passed away by the effect of teacher's instruction, by the study of reasonable scriptures, by having faith in the precepts, or by the help of all the means. Here the chapter comes to end, which is free from means and which discusses the state of Anuttara. Chapter 3. Now the state of Anuttara, which is the best means being explained, the property free will, the highest glow of Bhairava, which is himself form of light, is being examined. He who is the light himself lightens to all. He is not having known light. This world is reflecting in its true form. Therefore the Parameshvara is dwelling in his self-light state without any obstruction. That is why he is a shower of illusion, of the withdrawal from manifestation of the world. Various world forms reflect differently and separately in one mind, Parameshvara, like as water appears a clear mirror separately. The same mind reflects in the same way in the eye, mirror, sky and water. The reflection of the form appears when that form becomes clear. A beloved who loves freely cannot satisfy herself by touching her large breast in mirror, which is now as beautiful as the reflection of the dearest lover was once in the mirror. Because the touch of this mirror is not as pure as actual form body, because the purity exists, lives with the most even compact class. This is called purity by the teachers, that which shows the capacity of divergence in spite of having the beauty of non-divergent and self-luminosity. The only Lord of Samvit, Parameshvara's purity, is prominent everywhere, and it exists as purity partly aware by dint of this desire. The body, which is a killer of feelings, is illusory, and pure knowledgeable body form is non-killer. Thus the bestial Parameshvara, who reflects by both ways, is constantly manifesting himself with his object reflecting nature. To reflect the light by the form of knowledge of body poses, this is purity of reflection. He is being ached who says, one reflects in the mirror by dint of the bright glow of one's eyes and in return faces his face. The experient of the glow experiences his face by the same glow of sight, existing unlike his body or limbs. Then what is the use of mirror? The glow is so amazing by which one can attain one's own entire form at his own face. The sense of feeling after seeing one's face, that is my form, one should not limit this as only an object, as usually happens, but it must be full of touch. The reflection is merely a center form full of touch, smell. So it is not uncorrect that the thing reflected is the same object. The disappearance of touch is due to the non-availability of receptivity, and this unavailability is because of its not evident nature. And this situation of non-evidence is because the objects are not actually related to his essence, because it is a mere reflection in the mirror. So the nature and the gravity of this reflection is also not palpable. That does not exist in the mirror. In that visibility of the center of form, the mirror is a means. Since the mirror does not appear in existence, as unlike from the reflection, it is stated as a base means. The flame lamp, the eye, and the Samvit supreme consciousness are the consecutive means of the reflection. The lamp, the sense, is eye, and knowledge. These are not differently distinguished, and they are clear, so the appearance of the reflection does not feel separate identity as a mirror. The great Lord has shown his example of sense of objection, reflection relationship to enhance the consciousness of fools. This reflection is also a thing. It is not enough that it appears apart from mirror. This is not repulsive. This is free, impermanent, non-permanent. This is splendor of certain pure being as it stated by the graceful Lord. There exists no space of reflection apart from mirror, no any form, no time coexistence, no magnitude, no interrelation, no any loss or density. It is neither non-existence nor self-existent. The nature of mirror indicates disillusionment can happen. Thus, after showing of this reflection theory, the echo of what is called reverberation. This is not word-oriented word, for it is coming out from the same speaker, as the distant people cannot hear that word. It is reflection of the word in such a way that it sounds within the folded port, having the space to link with sky to produce a sound. It seems I am listening what is said by someone, like it seems that is the form of the other object in the mirror. Since in accordance with the law of the reflection process, the attainment of the object, or the witness between these two has a reverberation. We can sense the reflection even without the sense of its object. The lover does look his beloved body in the mirror, who is actually behind him. So it is called facing, for it is not different from the mirror. So a face reflected in the space of any port seems as if full of word like another speaker. As a person cannot look at his face on the backside of a mirror, similarly a person does not hear the sound, which is the back of the face. An impurity word does not reverberate. In expression and echo take place at the same time. At the very next moment its reflection and reverberation take place simultaneously. We became certain about hand and its shadow form at a certain period. Thus we discuss here the presented topic after telling the actuality of reflection. What dwells in the space joyfully and reflects in it. This way the touch produced by the hard-hit gold-struck point of touch is also pure. This touch stops its body out of its rejoice by reflecting itself. But this reflected touch is not main, for this does not reflect light on its function tradition. Thus this does burst or split within the smell of its sense and within the taste of its food. But as no other can see the reflected form in the eye of one without one's eye, so the other subject of sense, like taste, touch, smell, etc., cannot see without sense, even it subject exists. tests are existed within the test center. That is why it cannot be the subject of other senses and intellect who touch only from outside. So when it is inspired by inside with the sense necessity of that kind, the reflection does the same in the sense. The action as a reflection does not take place by the remembering mental subject. It takes place by the present subject. Hence the best action operates in the present by the concerned sense in order to reflect exactly. In the absence of outer object, the self itself operates presently in the same way through the ways, and that best touch takes place in the child of Genesis. Thus it is able to peace in the own mirror of supreme consciousness by submitting itself to reflect the pure form of Parameshvara. A smell, form, touch, taste, after its reflection, appear in its own base like a face reflecting on its world. Similarly, this world appears in the consciousness of Supreme, reflecting its nature as light, freedom in order to expand these religions. And the complete clear crystal or quartz reflects from every side. Any object reflects on a clear crystal with all its aspects. Similarly, all things reflects clearly consciousness. That in which no form appears is said to be completely clean. So the consciousness is purest, no, not the jewel, for it has form. The submission of reflection takes place through the outward object. And if the object is the reflection itself, what will remain? Or we consider a cause for the sake of object. That too becomes a reflection, otherwise it is not real. Thus the kingdom of reflection is a splendouring, everywhere is safe in the right, resolved by dint of self-samvit. The question is how reflection is possible without an object or a thing. The answer is what to say if the reflection looks clearly, if one lacks say it a thing. But this is not so, because in that the characteristic of the object do not appear. So the question, what is said to be an object, that which appears separately, independently from others, is an object like a face. That looks like other form without losing our own form is called reflection, like reflection on the plane of sword, mirror, etc. It is said by the Yogacara Buddhist that in the presence of external object, the intellect of observer is not many by one, but due to many knowledges, conditionings, it converts into many event form. The question is, what is the characteristic of reflection? The answer is, that is being said that which appears as different but not mixed with the other. It is said reflection. Like a face in the mirror, the world appears as undifferent from consciousness, perception or understanding. While this is mingled with the consciousness, then would it not to be called reflection in the nescience? This is the arrangement of characteristic. If you consider this world as accidental, you call this object. The scholars consider the object, not the transient sound. The question is, does reflection not even exist without its object? The answer is, so what? Object does not lie in its reflection. Therefore, there is no harm on being impossible as a characteristic object in context to world. The motive is for cause there where the cause ceases, no for the cause of acquisition, like pot and like to motive cause, and the motive cause somewhat, somewhere does possibly exist. That is why in the precause existing like, by dint of memory, which at dense causes the figure of one's beloved appears or reflects. Otherwise, how does the beautiful beloved separated from her lover appear as a writing on the consciousness, if the Supreme Consciousness does not join it? Therefore, in the midst some element, namely he, perseverance and the level of intellect, understanding, vibrates where we look as a reflection of the beloved in the states of vow, dream, act of seeing, in spite of being separated. Therefore, in this kind of place, the paths of the Lord are the cause of reason. This is why the world is reflected by the beloved consciousness sky of pure Vishwanatha, not by dint of any other. Cause this is joyous. That which is expected as an inseparable, which the bow splendor of Lord is called Pratibha Devi or Chitra Pratibha. She is a Shakti, expands the core of a core deity is Kauliki, with whom Parameshwara rests always. The coupling form of them is said collision or friction or embracing. The same is called Ananda Shakti, from which this world appears. This deity is called Paratattva, is the highest principle in terms of Para and Apara. The same deity is essence, heart, Visaga and the highest Lord. In the context of Mahadamara Yaga, in the Devyamala precept, she is called Kava Karshini. She is a Shipara in the Sahasrara and explained as motherhood in the Shipurva precept, that is the Malini Vijaya Tantra. In this meeting, the profound reflection out of consciousness is the power of will, and that is the Lord of Agora powers. When she is vibrantly glorious, she becomes good. Thus, Hora intermediate deities become spectators of the Shaiva path. Profound self-reflection was Ekavira, which is now a magic power of knowledge situated in the form of self-known as a world. This is a deity called Parapara, who makes up look at the way which is pure and who creates continuously Ghora Matrimandava. When the vibration takes place out of the flesh of some part of knowledge, it seems contraction in the pure consciousness. That contraction by germinating is called the beginning of the state of the self-knowable growth. This germination in the ocean of supreme consciousness is like receiving of various forms. Yogins consider this as the germinating seed of that particular seed. The power of will, which is a state as of two forms shaken or agitated and non-agitated wholes, is desired object in the two forms within. The effect of the desired object after some static phase glimpsed as a seed of the earth by the firesome power which appears as the lightning. So, this knowable mostly exists in the power of externalized desire, yet this is the place of germination of the knowable, which is the power of knowledge, not the birthplace. So, the will power is considered as of four forms. This is Paramrita. It is not the seat of anything for having no agitation. That which is a mover, the primary constant unit of agitation, is the seat, and that which is the base of agitation is the yoni. The essential nature of Svavit is a mover. She agitates and makes agitate all movement. The compound unity of seats and vagina is considered as a movable movement. That which is not the base of knowable is called agitation or movement, and the agitability is the other expression of the knowable. Vibration or agitation is a desire to create a part of the seed which is not different from the world within the world. That is called agitability, which tries to reflect the desire of Lord devoid of the desire of the agitation. With whom an experience or nowhere experience ununified and becomes grateful is called the basis of vibration by the disciples of Samananda. In which the noble of desirous supreme consciousness is not an apparition, and by which the sickness in the vibration takes place and unites is called seed. This is called the fruit of spandan, of seed. This is the origination. By the virtue of it, the receiving boat appears as a different from the supreme consciousness. That is vibration, kshopha, agitation, and that is a shopana, or the base of vibration, which exists in tranquility, yet excludes the indifferent part of the experience by the power of supreme consciousness. This desire for creation is called here the base of agitation, which takes birth, yet obliged unified with other vibration. Vimarsha. After this, the highly noble wants to be different, for this from the world sees that the entire exterior image reflects. The trivial nature of the state of agitable agitation is shown by me as the grace of my teacher, Sri Maheshwara. Now, to discuss about the present these four syllables. Neither seek no vagina, for this don't know become the base of agitation. This is already said, fives appear in various forms and colors for its mixture. That which is spanda and anuttara, and which is ecstatic bliss, culminates amazingly by collision of desire and externalization of desire. That which is spanda on anuttara and that which is ecstatic bliss culminates amazingly by the collision of desire and the externalization of desire. When anuttara and ananda, which are the essential form of chit, join the power of will, Ishka Shakti, it's called by scholars a triangle, which is much beautiful than Visarga and Amoda, delight. In that when Anuttara, Ananda and Shakti attains the growth or germination, they attain the state of hexagon by adding two triangles. When both the same Anuttara and Ananda attain assimilation again by joining the externalizing desire, they express mutually the both form of the power of action, of both force the power of action. By dwelling in the state of agitation, which is of desire, and the externalization of desire, both powers attain the nature of this, not by staying elsewhere. The question is, if Anuttara and Ananda are mutually devoid of division, how they attain the enormous amazing state within the service? The answer is, listen, the Samvitnatha is a boundless and the lot of art of appearance and disappearance of infinite diversified power. If the Lord were stay with the body of one single form, he might have been left the state of Maheshwara and the supreme consciousness. To spread out and reflect by the other is the characteristic of root. Since the consciousness is unstaining than root, it is boundless. Hence, the powers which rise from ocean of supreme consciousness bear its own amazing collision as the ocean waves. The amazing state of power appears from its own pure collision. It's called the absolute broken both body of the power of action. When the three powers both at this 14th boat, they call it Trishua by Shasta in Malini, Vijaya Tantra. It is called Niranjana by the seer teacher, because only Shaktiman reflects everywhere. Power never reflects by anyone. The power of desired knowledge and action is the Almighty Shakti Mana, expresses separately and both through his free will. After unification, when these powers vibrate or throw, it do not expressed by anyone by dint of its own inherent quality. Therefore, this unified power is Trishula Trident. Yogin, by dwelling in this unity, transforms then and there in no Niranjana, into Niranjana, the seer. Hence, it turns into the multiplicity of eight by uniform, starting from Paramita and passing through Ashtaka Brahmi, the eight states. Brahmi, Maheshi, Kaumari, Vaishnavi, Ayundi, Yam, Chamunda and Yageshi, Akoi, Devyashtaka. At this state, the power of Anuttara takes the form of Bindu for the impurity of knowable Kava. Raises from this power manifests its form. When the power of action reflects upon Soma, the essence of ecstasy, Surya the sun and Agni the fire, retains the invisible light, that is our absolute Bindu. The same Parameshwara said in the Tattva Raksha Vipkhana, the scripture, the power of man and the essential nature of Shiva situated in the mandala of Heart Lotus must be attained by the help of Vayabheda. Narashakti and Shiva Swarupa are called in the single word mātṛkā Bindu. This Nadatmaka word, situated in every creature, dwells in this inactive lower upper portion. This first word is eminent. That which is with ecstasy and with wild blood is the same absolute light. This is said by the spiritual teacher also. This is Samvit supreme consciousness which is reflected in this way, which is neither reflected by the sun, nor the moon, nor the fire. For the sun, the moon, and the fire cannot attain its flame without this light. This light out of attainment with amazing splendors which reflects through its own free will attains absolute amazing like its intensity. Look at the effect of the splendor when the far-sighted sun reflects into a pond. It soothes the eyes. This light has been polluted by the splendor in the sun, so it expects the light of supreme consciousness. The sun is said as well-expressed light, this is clear, and which reigns this essence of this light is called the moon, or Soma. The sun is called proof and the moon is to be proved, so they are independent but they stay mutually together. They are relatively mutual as enjoyer, to be enjoyed in both. So the essential nature of flaming consciousness is called Chitrabhanu, or fire. This essential absolute element of fire is actually the experienced knower. The supreme consciousness is the absolute, for it reconcile with the knowable. It is the quality experience for its freedom, and that experience is amazing for its different from knowable. The special fire is called Chitrabhanu by the Lord, which stones special by the appearance of bone, amazing produced by the partial flammable things of Soma. The state of supreme consciousness, I am absolute from the ignorable, means an collision is called pramata, the experience or the knower. By this the knower is used for super consciousness as a knower of scripture among human beings. He is not knower who knows through his essential nature but experience. That is not the state of knowledge from whom pure knowable are expected. In that condition, this is called the state of knowledge or knowledgehood due to ability. Actually, that is a state of evidence imagined by the foreknower. The Supreme Consciousness is full and perfect, devoid of revolution of time, so enjoys the form of knower and knowable. The action like cooking is called karma, order or lineage due to the evolution of time. If it goes devoid of cooking, it is not called the action of cooking. Thus, the main being of lightness never disappears or vanishes from the light element, so it consists of Soma, Surya and Agni state. Its first Krishna form is called Sun. It's called Soma because it rests for a long while in the bliss out of agitation. It is called Pluta because it's beyond ecstasy and bliss. Ecstasy. The scholars term in it light of the fire form or fire sunlight. The pure light is called Bindu in the scripture after settling all the three stations and ecstasy, sun and fire. Thus is considered as a Shiva Bindu. This Bindu is different from Makara. This is merely its shadow. This consists of the syllables Ra, La and Ha. Its Ikara converts into the other vowels due to the shadow of Rebha Amsha. So in spite of being vowel, A converts into Am and Ach, two forms due to the touch of Ma and Ha. Akara alphabet A, which is a form of Anuttara, transforms into Visarga, emanation, with absolute certainty out of agitation. Its quality of emanation is called Para-Kauliki. It is said while discussing the phase expansion principle that the 17th phase of Spectra vibrates in the form of Apara, Swarupa Bindu. Its essential form is Amrita, non-death. This gives light to everything. When this is devoid of emanation, this takes the form of Shakti Kundalika, the serpent power, and Prana Kundalika, the serpent force. And at this last stage of emanation, that is Parakundalini, beyond the form of serpenta, that will convert into the absolute state of Brahma, named Shivyoma. That is illusion between creation and destruction. It is only the emanation of the Absolute, the Lord. My own nature is emitted by me, within me is emanation. This emanation, which is known as the Hamsa, Prana, Vijnana and Sparsha, when it emanates and takes growth form, Anuttara is the highest plane of reality. That is known as Akua. His state of manifestation or emanation is the Kauliki power, Kauliki Shakti of the Supreme Lord. The state of manifested vibration or throb in order to attain the bliss till her power is emanating state of Kauliki power. As the infinite waves of an ocean appear as different to ocean, but actually one, so the expanded form of emanation appears different but united with the one, absolute. So this emanation is called Kama Tattva, the principle of desire, which is expressed of the syllable of Ha. The phase is the total in the scripture Kua Guhvara Shastra. The syllable which rests in the throat of Kanta, unexpressed, is a form of sound form, and is devoid of concentration and contemplation without any desire. One can control the entire world by absorbing the mind in that. Hence, the clear state of Hamsa is emanation is the same as the state from Ka to Sa in the Anuttara. As the creation of 5-letter group of Ka syllable is clear, so the entry of 5 powers in each letter also gleam. The group of Cha, piece of uniform willpower which rests in its essential nature. This group is full of 5-syllable power, and due to this the grammar is clear. That is said as full of the draws of knowable, produce 2 groups of Ta and Ta, the 2 forms out of the unity of dynamics and static desire of will, and the group of Pa is out of externalizing of Ichha Shakti, the power of will. The group ends the world. Since the form of knowable is broken up to the 25 syllables, so that called touch for this is knowable and burst. The power of will, which is considered as of 2 forms, shaken and unshaken, converts into letter Ya by tending towards non-familiar power aspect. This converts into Ra and Wa quickly out of knowable, draws and tendency towards power again. In the same way, the powers of externalized will of both forms attains their form of Va letter by attaining the victorious power as reign of immortality. This will by combining Anuttara and Ananda, which is called air, due to its quickness, called fire, due to its nature to spread, and called as for its static. Therefore, these 4 letters Ya, Ra, Wa, and Va are called self-contemplated, for this rest in this will and stay in the ends. The unity of powers is called agitable. The family of these powers consists of agitable and unagitable. Anuttara has 2 movements of its familiar unity, one of which is capable to create Anuttara Ananda, and second causes agitation when it unites with the Anuttara. Here also, the second movement of Anuttara is not proper for dharma. In this time, the state of Anuttara maintains without agitations. Hence, this will burst into 3 forms out of its dynamism and stillness, for it unites with an action also with actionless. These 3 are they never leave the position in spite of the 3 kinds of desire potency dwell in them. The same, inspired by its free will, appears out of its hour form of heat turned into the 3 shaken letters, Sa, Sha, Sha. Hence the world reflects vividly in this group of Sa syllables. Yogi calls this absolute state to state of Amrita. The same paramrita at the beginning and the end station of agitation is felt as pleasure, goodness, unity and meditation. This is referred by the seers as absolute, undivided Brahma. The Lord himself said in Srimad Bhagavatam, by attaining the immortal saying out of the unity of Shakti and Shaktimana, I, in the form of clothed beak of Guru, devoid of concentration and contemplation, out of our affection reflected the person which too is devoid of its essence. The mystery of the fullness of sexual art is felt in copulation and the numerous essence of Amrita when the divergence of the individual soul destroys. Niranjana is the highest state principle, Paramatma. That word of action power is his Sanjnana form. It vibrates by its own power. Niranjana is qualityless absolute and Sanjana is qualified absolute. This is desire, means passion, poison means knowledge, and the deity of action are Niranjana. Shiva, the unity of this trio, is called Bhairava. We should always contemplate on this as is said by our teachers. When we enter into the principle of poison, nothing like pest or poison appears, only the aham feeling delights. The question is, here it is said about birth from syllables of 6 quality group. Then how does it importance okay? Why such letters are called important? So we state on this topic this group of 6 letters is not progenitor, but the willpower dwells in it, produces the intrinsic letter out of its duty and essential nature. Here the cause Ishitva or Vishana is static, so one part of it cannot be pregnant. The growth produced from it's the same body of it. Due to absence of agitability and the recipient of agitation, this is group of Ayushana of Noble is called the group of 6 letters. The pure Bhairava addressed it the 4 letters as heat, for this reflects by its own free flame. Scholars consider the letters from Ka to Ha as the basis of agitation. That also combines with the Vagina, produce next agitation. Once this principle, the 15th letter Ksha originate. Therefore, groups of which of the basis of divergent and non-divergence that exist in the perspective of 25 letters, right noble group. The first quadruple explains the divergence of supreme consciousness. The second quadruple produces growth of germination of the non-divergence in the divergence. Hence the group of letters is a primarily swara or vowel before expression. It is consonant after expression, but swara is its life force. Only first 6 vowels are the root prime of light of letter groups. They are actually 6 deities, supreme rays of sun. Since Chandraka, face of moon, dwells within the sun's rays, therefore in this offspring of 3 vowels, 3 bodies of moon do express A, I, U. Chandra, the moon, is simply a name and nothing else. It is this enjoyment of the enjoyer only. This is the enjoyer who differentiates himself as to form, the enjoyer and to be enjoyed. The things to be enjoyed is not the subject of enjoyment of the body, but of the experience. Therefore, the germination or growth within the experience is the things enjoyable for the enjoyed. This is Anuttara who transforms into to be enjoyed, when this gets the collision form out of the suggestive suggestion emotion. The desire also converts itself into this form similarly. The desire, when becomes to be enjoyed, produces from Anuttara Ananda. The twilight letters appears. That is called enjoyed form. The deity who is the form of Anuttara and Ananda is called the enjoyer. Desire as subject of enjoyment is the powerhood comes from itself. When the things enjoyed merge into enjoyer, the enjoyer is a reality which boasts actually. So the tree of consciousness will end the state of both process in the essence of 6. These 3 are called the supreme law of Bhairava. The trio is called the whole power of Parameshwara. Since the separation of both takes place from that, the worship of that becomes the same as the worship of Pathless, both power Parameshwara. Thus we cannot say this is his glory and this is his expansion, for who can catch the limit of the power of Parameshwara, who is the all-powerful, omnipotent. This while, for the sake of free will and Anuttarahood, the deity of Anuttara becomes the raw form of the power of Visarga, the emanation. So Maheshwara is all-powerful, with the 50 touches, Amasha. He is one full of Vimarsha and a present holy. All other powers dwell in him. The deity of 81 movements is also immanent in him. The wordful Bhairava with one more touch is a power himself, for he is full of shadow of vibration. And he is a mātṛkā, the power of letters. The power is a Malini for its proportional and boldness and of different vagina. It transforms into separate slow form for its touch, which with fresh quality as it does before. By germinating on each Amasha, it grows with 50 letters. Thus Shiva of the nature of ceasing is present everywhere as a deer in the forms of mother and father, for his embrace mother. This Shakti again transformed into an Anuttara by possessing the infinite world in his consciousness is the form of Visarga Shiva Bindu. The vibration takes place in the soul of Lord and characterized by due treasure, and the soul is nothing but the essence of the end of undiscernible continuous world. The manifested vibration is called Aham, which cause with who the omnipresence depends on Anuttara, full of emanation, the self-light of Shiva Shakti coexistence form. That expansion is a form of power from Anuttara to Lataha merges again into Anuttara by capturing entire world. Thus this world is its power, and as its power is an Anuttara Paramashiva. He is in himself. This state is settled by the Lord. Some of the scripture Paratrishika Shakti is called as a form of capturing. The world that which reflects is a supreme consciousness to possess within Samvida out of his collision by mutual conflict. This collision is the essential nature of Bhairava. It is non-self form of the self. Thus, that which is the emanating power, the power of emanation of Shiva, is present everywhere. From that vibrates this Ananda Rasa, the ecstatic rapture. When he is lost in a state of ecstasy by listening a song or with the touch of sandal, the state of vibration rises in the heart is called Ananda Shakti, by dint of which a human is called Sahridya, an asket, who is attuned with the heart. Estet. First of all, this Anava is emanation consciousness becomes tranquil by the submitting of its duties to the fire of wood. That is in cause the things dwell in the supreme consciousness as Chit Sambodha. This full of Shakta, supreme consciousness ecstasy. This actual last Shambhava Visarga, named Chit Pravaya, comes out from the unity of finite self and supreme consciousness, which has tendency towards the consciousness of the self and the matter as well. Hence this emanation is considered and termed as the three kinds in the system of Tattva Raksha, preservation of principle. The unified collision of the bows is regarded as the center of the sheaves of lotus heart. This is the last emanation, Visarga. The next emanation is called Chitra Sambodha. In the same state, the phenomenal world appears as unified. If it seems at least the quantum of receiving recipient divergence, then this emanation is called Sakala. It is called Nishkala when this is unites with Shiva. This state appears loss of receiving recipient state and the complete state of reception. The third emanation is the one which is named Chitra Pravaya. This state is unified self-consciousness, reason, self-satiated or self-contented and subtlest. This topic is described in Sri Sitha Yogeshwari view. The individual soul is the Anuttara, will and Unmesha, the state of world process appear. Again, through letters R, E, U appear from Z. This is termed as an emanating aspect, like R is emanating from R. E is emanating from E. The same emanation creates fine kinds of group from group to subgroup. This emanation dwells within and without heart as nada, and then resembles ecstasy as a high state, parampada. Since it is all pervasive, it stays from heart, bindu to dvadashanta in the body. Hymns are like clouds of Sharada season, from initial R to last Ha. This is in the characteristic of the spiritual teacher to explain his disciples the initial and the last letter. The teacher is a worshipping. He is enlightened by Rava and full of deityhood. Any sings if like compendium of shlokas, as this is full of the initial and the last. Hence he who considers shlokas or verse as a knowledge looks at it as a glimpse. The Lord has said in the Aitari Upanishad in details that the power of emanation, Visarga Shakti, is the cause of world. That which is a red clouded is a fire, and the variable energy is the form of sun and moon. R is a Parabrahma, and it attains expansion through collision. Paravirya he possesses is of the aspects of Panchabhuta. When he allows, it becomes food as a word and touch. Since sweet, pleasant word to gather energy, so the Virya is considered as absolutely pure and desirous of the universe. The same force, same vigor, same breeze, like for life force, and the same sweetness is gleaming in these various forms. From that energy rise praja compound. The same is called Virya in the sacrificial rite. For the sacrificial rite, the same exists as Vrishti, rain in the medicine, and the medicine turned into again Virya, and the Virya dwells again into compounds. Hence the emanation takes form of universe. The same emanation is called multitude of letters, and that power of letters is called mātṛkā, mother of power of sound. This is referred as a malini for the agitation and the agitability caused by avesha absorption. Beautiful malini derived from the gleam of emanation produced from the mutual meeting of seed and souls, bija and yoni, is named Parashakti in the form of universe. This is truly one. This is a Sankarshini Parashakti of Kala. The same power by the divergence of Shaktimana requires the coupling state. The Vimarsha explains flow of Jnana and Kriya which brings about the world process, makes self-reflect. The reflection of category her body is regarded as of three aspects, namely Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikhari. And the form of the categories are also of three kinds, by the difference of gross, subtle and beyond. It is that which is a beautiful form of nada, having svaras, musical aspects, is referred as a gross Pashyanti. For this has no category of letters, etc. The uniformity of non-categorical state is the form of hardness, when that gleams due to the friction of place and air. This state of concentration rises immediately for one who is having the same closeness with the tendency towards supreme consciousness. They who don't fail in concentration are heartless persons, for they don't have the knowledge of the supreme consciousness. The somewhat sound produced from mridanga, which are covered with the leather, is a madhyama vak of growth form out of pasyanti state cause, broken, burst, and unbroken form. In the madhyama too, some part of non-category persists, that's why ascetic rapture dwells there. In that part, the non-category abhibhava full of music is musical and aesthetical. On the non-category level has the ability or capacity of ecstasy. We can experience this from the Tavapadha. All people feel ecstasy by hearing Veena playing, which have an inexpressible sound. That which causes the gleaming of letters is a grosser form of Madhyama Vaikhari. Its work is preferably related to more centers. That which is the first or root discovery in these three grosses is quite subtle within these three separately. I am making Satya the first note of Indian musical octave, playing sweet, uttering speech. These three are subtle difference. The first statusless form of these three is para. Beyond and all these three are mixed forms. In this dwells Shiva as a parasamvit. These powers are prominent to reflect the Shiva category. Anuttara is a para power, Ichha will is a para, and Jnana knowledge is Unmesha Shakti is called apara. On the basis of the agitated form of these powers, the same three turn into six-power form of Samveda. Out of absorption of these three powers produced in the form of power of action, the Samveda is called as of 12 types, in which everything ends. This is Shakti Chakra of the Lord. For this reason, the Lord of all Lord deities is called full of power and Bhairava. This power is regarded somewhere as a Kali, 12-fold, for this is form of recollection, unites with emanation and for the reason of grasping and knowledge. This also said in the Trikashara we must worship. This deity who has the form of one single letter is a mist and the form of Bhairava and is covered with the 12 yogini. Out of 12 powers arise 64 cycles of power from 1 to 1000, called Sahasrara. By the divergence of actions, the numerous names are described in the Agamas. Worship of them is established in the form of dual, non-dual, and dual, non-dual. It is explained in detail in the scripture of Trishya Bhairava. Due to its being enlarged fright and uselessness, it is not mentioned here. When they remain pure and lossless, call it Agora. When they are caused offspring as Gora and Goraktara powers, they become Tad-Atmika. When creation maintains and dissolution and other states dissolve, the form of stillness of the other powers, Agora, divides into several ways. The spiritual teacher has said about the form which is beyond the state in two ways. When the attributes Padhya state do not attain ecstasy, and when these attributes turn rest, tranquility. Tranquility, prashanti, is also of two kinds, shanti, prasamana and hadkapaka prashamana. For the universe enjoys this tranquility state completely, which causes rasa or ecstasy to burn continuously. That which burns or consumes the energy out of divergence is called Sod Hadkapaka Prashmana, which comprehends these four Upadesha, teachings or instructions. When all the feelings consume submit suddenly in the Jadharani, which is a form of Sva Atma Samvik, that fire, Agni or Jatha, shines by inflaming the divergence with your power. When the different forms of feeling dissolve by Hatkhapaka, the Samvik deities enjoy the universe, which is now transformed in Amrita. When the deities feel satiated, being full, they experience fully the state of Bhairava. In the form of luminous Chidakasha exists in the heart fully. So they coexist, Bhairava and deity of power, as unified, yet they reflect its divergence, for they are regarded in the form of action and act in the multiple ways of name and worship. But the importance of Avapa and Udvapa of these deities, the divergence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Rudra 11, Arka 12, Adit 13, Kawa 16, expands. And something else to say is meaningless. Now we will concentrate on what is being presented. This whole power varga, full of prapancha, manifest as a reflection in the supreme consciousness is Vishveshvara. Hence the Paramasha remembrance, which arises also without any thought construct within the experience, is called Anavopaya. This kind of recollection of Purna Ahanta. If it is reflected completely, the experience needs nothing to do with mantra, mudra, kriya, upasana, changing posture, action or worshipping, except this. In this repetitive meditation, devoid of all circumstance, nirvikalpa, the yogin attains the state of Bhairavi, which is also called Jivan Mukti. Bhairava power. From this point begins contemplation on the liberation why one is alive, in which the means will be described as a kalpana of upaya, way to be approached. Even the condition of divergence is not exist in the previous chapter. This who liberates through this Anavopaya, why and for which purpose. The scholar must add the condition of 54 divergence, as is said primarily in the Nirvikalpa Paramasha or Shamhavopaya. The aspirant who sees the S within himself with the eye of Nirvikalpa, devoid of ideation, attains the topic of water. In this way, gradually by seeing the ultimate reality beyond all veils, who is Shiva, attains the state of Bhairavi, the Bhairavi Bhava. Even a yogin devoid of ideation, when looks at the mirror of non-imaginary generous supreme consciousness, becomes Bhairava himself. It's by the help of this red pose, non-dual knowledge, the integral knowledge with dual established, so the S knows themselves full and integrated when they are recollected by every group of collision. The means upaya is Shamhavopaya, which experiences 3 group collision of S. These 3 are, this is produced from me, this is reflected within me, and it is not different from me. Thus it is encapsulated or formulated that there exists creation, maintenance and dissolution. This is mentioned in the Spandakarika, then where it exists and from there it produces, and where it produces. The supreme sovereignty of Samvit is explained by this single say, that is a holiness, so why should be discussed the other characteristic? This form of vimarsha of brotherhood, that I am the creator and the form of world reflecting within my own sky-formed self. All the causes of attvas is reflecting only in me. I am the Lord of maintenance that burst in the form of world. He who knows that this ever-evolving world is dissolving and emerging in me in the form of supreme knowledge, attains the blissful tranquility. I am Shiva who burns the dream house of this world full of infinite amazement, and trust beholder, this state of fire in the form of mind emerges in ecstasy. Due to difference, this manifold world appears from the only. This state dissolves and maintains in me by remaining nothing else. Thus he who looks at it integrally, which is one out of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, gets the Turiya Pada in ecstasy. Only few aspirants have faith by the grace of God on this non-dual highest me, which is the Anavopaya. In this situation, any imagination as base, vow, austerity, sacred syllable arrangement, imagination of Atma, cause of path, Homa, muttering prayer, japa, concentration, appears as non-different. Aspirant establishes in that state gains the power automatically to impart grace on others. If he, an expert, attains that type of grace, he goes near to his teacher. If the aspirant is not like so, but is impressed by the devotion dedicated to Shiva, and if he prays Shiva, being influenced by his grace, the wise teacher must impart initiation to him with the Vichitra Diksha Vidhi. All those worship find rest in this, as the complexion of Shambhava transformed into attaining Shiva. Thus is absolute Shambhava Atmavedana is told in detail. Om Tat Sat.